Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Star Citizen Alpha 324 is very close to moving to Wave 2. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. So while I am still working on the weekly Star Citizen news video, which is pretty big and should hopefully be out tomorrow, I wanted to let you all know how Alpha 324 is progressing, as Cloud Imperium have been testing a Wave 2 candidate. So on Friday, a new 324 build was published, with Cloud Imperium stating that the goal is to run this build with Blockade Runner over the weekend, as well as a possible Wave 2 opening up if certain bug fixes resolve the current blocking issues holding it in Wave 1. And upon release of this build, they had originally mentioned that if all goes well, they will potentially release it to Wave 2 on Saturday morning, if these fixes work. But as it stands right now, being Sunday afternoon, it appears that the build is still in Wave 1, with no mention of whether Wave 2 happened or not. Now my guess is that some of the bug fixes did not resolve these blockers entirely, so Wave 2 didn't happen, as they have also published a volunteer regression survey for players to check on certain bug fixes to further investigate and let them know if those issues are resolved or not, and to add to the report of these issues on the Issue Council so that they can hone in on what is a problem. Now, as much as it would have been obviously much better for everybody to see these issues resolved with that build and then Wave 2 open up, I am very happy to see them calling to the Wave 1 backers for more refined testing so that they can tackle these bugs better. Now, this does mean that Wave 2 is not far behind at all, and if I were to guess, I suspect this next week we should see a Wave 2 release, and that should mean that they resolve the main problems and it can roll through the rest of the waves to live pretty quickly. Of course, that is just a guess based on what I have seen. If these blockers don't get fixed this next week, then it will remain in Wave 1. But I am very grateful that they have not released this build to more waves until they have resolved these issues, as nobody wants a repeat of Alpha 318, so ensuring that these bugs are fixed before moving it on is a good decision, regardless of how much we want it now. Now, looking at the most recent patch notes, there were about 18 bug fixes, including many of the hangar and queuing issues that were causing me problems, and although these were likely the blockers holding it up from going to Wave 2, so potentially not actually fixed, and they may need further work. Now, some of the bugs that have fixes include, as mentioned, the ATC gateway queue getting slowed down, the elevator button panel not functioning, ground vehicles spawning at LZ garages rather than in your sort of elevator for your hangar, being unable to retrieve ships once they've been impounded. The Starfarer actually had an archetype more like a fighter than a heavy industrial ship, which I thought was an interesting bug fix, and auto-loading costs are incorrectly calculated at Lawville and are higher than intended, plus many more bug fixes. Of course, as usual, there are still many known issues that will continue to be worked on, but there are some great fixes in there. Now, there are also 2 new additions to gameplay and features for this patch, which include updating the rank on certain hauling missions to improve progression, and I will say, after playing through various hauling missions and going through the ranks, I thoroughly enjoy seeing the missions that open up and being able to pick and choose which missions I want to do, and maybe even stacking some if I'm going to a certain location which requires a multiple pickup or drop off. But it did feel like I got through to Junior pretty quickly. I didn't do that many missions, so hopefully they've kind of slowed it down to make it feel like progression is more earned than just unlocked super quick. And for the Aurora series, they have updated the cargo physics proxies to help with manual loading of cargo, which is a great addition for the Aurora series. For a while now, we have been able to put the 1SEU boxes, or 3 1SEU boxes, underneath where the store ore box generally goes for the Auroras, but they haven't been all that very consistent. So getting an update to its physics should make this work a lot better, and hopefully going forwards make the Aurora capable of transporting cargo, especially with all of these new cargo mechanics. Also, the new Blockade Runner event did go ahead for this weekend, with this new build for Wave 1 still, which was the last remaining feature yet to be in testing focus, as it was mentioned a while back that the commodity price rebalance has been rolling out throughout the course of the previous 3.2.4 patches. So nice to see the final feature get into testing focus. I haven't tried it myself. I would certainly prefer to wait until live so that I can get into it more. But it should be a really interesting event requiring some players to move cargo through hostile locations to a space station that is being sort of locked down by the Ninetales AI, maybe requiring escorts and security and protection, or at least help to load and unload the boxes with all of these new cargo updates coming in and freight elevators. I feel like it's going to be a much more involving mission. That should be a lot of fun. But there you go. As much as Alpha 3.2.4 appears to have not gone to Wave 2 yet, the fact they have a potential Wave 2 candidate means they are close. And as soon as they get these remaining blockers resolved, they will push forward with Wave 2, and from there, I can't imagine it will stay in Wave 2 much longer before moving through to Open for all backers on the PTU. At that point, they will have the greatest amount of possible data and feedback available outside of a live build, so hopefully it holds up and they can get it to the live servers as soon as possible. But that is the latest on the Alpha 3.2.4 front. Things are certainly causing Cloud Imperium a bit of a headache, especially with these new hangars. They are clearly working really hard to get them resolved, and it looks like we are not far from a Wave 2 now, so fingers crossed they can get them done and we can start moving it through the waves. I will of course continue to cover all of the development progress with Alpha 3.2.4 as it happens. I also have a lot of plans for various videos covering the features, talking about how it will impact the persistent universe from here on out, so do stay tuned for that. Plus, once it does go live, I'll be kicking off my off-grid living videos again, seeing how much of a difference these new features will make to that style of playing. I feel with more ships going out and about, transporting goods, the inventory being physicalized, potentially more pirates in certain locations, there's going to be a lot more to discover by just generally flying around the environment. If you are yet to see any of my off-grid series, I will link the playlist below. I highly recommend checking them out, especially if you are new to the game or you're returning and looking for an idea of what you might want to do in the verse. But with that said, I am going to get on with the weekly news update. As I say, that should be coming out tomorrow, with Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live each holding quite a lot of information about upcoming 4.0 features. I'm just making sure that I get all the information possible, so it's going to be quite a lengthy video. Plus, I have the monthly report for the Persistent Universe to cover. That is always a lengthy video. I have put out the latest Squadron 42 monthly report video, though, if you are interested. Again, that will be linked in the description below. So I'll be getting on with both of those. And if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, by all means, come and hang out over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrother. You are all more than welcome, whether you are a new backer or a veteran. Always a great time. Right now, we're pretty much hanging out in 3.2.4, seeing what these new features are like, but it's a great place to ask your questions. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.